was banned away in that game number 1. So they're going to get a nice tried and true combo and see what they can do with that layered CC. But it is the brand coming through for GLFS and that Corki I was just mentioning.
So Neny going to be on the reverse side of the matchup where, as you rightfully said, kind of got his butt handed to him that one. And
I was wondering which way you were going to go with it. There was a lot of different ways. There was ways.
Yeah. And we're quickly moving on from that. GLFS picks up the brand to be another point of power as well. GLFS, need to remind people, walked away with Rookie of the Week from the last week of Rumble stage as well. He's been on good form. He's built well within this team, and he's got one of the more powerful junglers as well. Now, Shaoye will get himself the misfortune, which is a lane-dominant carry. You do have that Rel. It's a good bot lane combo, so you have the Magnet Storm, I guess the Storm in a teacup to try and make sure that that bullet time can keep continually being on target. Arn gets his choice of matchup down the bot side.
Great Red Hot Chili Pepper song, by the way. Maybe showing a little bit of knowledge. But it is also just taking what IG were trying to pull off in that game number 1 in terms of what their carries were. So love to see LGD going with the composition that obviously is of second nature to them as well. But giving a little bit more power to Shaoye as well in the bot lane. The Ziggs ban in the second phase, though, for LGD on the red side will signal trying to take down some of those damage options right now for Invictus Gaming. It is the jungle priority for IG, though, as they ban away the Shyvana.
Wonder if Draven should get banned here. I think that Draven is sticking out as a champion that can do quite well into the misfortune, because if you ever miss position, Draven just starts running at you and whirling those axes right up into you. So LGD needs to be, I think, afraid of lane dominant carries. That is going to get banned away. You still have stuff like the Kalista, which is around. I don't think we're as likely to see stuff like the Varus anymore, which typically has been a good matchup into that misfortune. But I think the role for him is lane dominancy. You need to make sure that Shaoye and JinJiao are contested here in this laning phase. They do have a strong CV2 in terms of champions on paper, but I do think that Arn and Vampire, in terms of name tags, are the better 2v2 laners in this game.
You have to think a little bit more about how you could play around that as well, and especially try to get that power spike going a little bit faster. Some of those kills, especially last time, I will say, for IG's side, going to GLFS, maybe a little bit more known on the other side if they were able to get it. But it is also now more aggression given over through one of Meteor's prime picks this split as well. But it is the Neny coming through for LGD.
So Meteor been a big reason why LGD have stepped up in form coming into summer. He's had one of his best splits in a while. Picks up one of the most mechanically proficient champions in the game. You got to be a good Neny player to make this pay off. You have the Rel for some setup. You might have something like a Twisted Fate coming into the top lane for Burdol if he feels like that too. But right now, you don't have as much setup coming through. A lot of pressure on Meteor to make sure he can get into these lanes and into the enemy jungle quickly to make sure that this Neny has value. YSKM goes back towards that K'Sante. Does mean he will get counterpicked, but at least he won't be against that Gnar, which has been the matchup at the moment to make sure the K'Sante is really held down.
We'll see as the utility coming through for IG's on, and he will be able to give a little bit more room to grow as well, especially in those mid-game spikes. We'll see what their damage profile looks like. A lot easier to execute than their game number 1 composition, it feels like, but LGD still have an answer, and they'll be looking for something, at least for Burdol, to take into that K'Sante matchup.
So he has gone towards some carries in the past. This is like the halfway house between tank and carry. Mordekaiser comes through, good anti-tank matchup. What we have seen, though, is that if the Mordekaiser dies early in any situation, you don't get to exacerbate that matchup. We've seen that most of the way through summer, even when he was against Skarner as well. So Burdol will probably need to get some attention early on again to make sure that he can get ahead of that matchup. And if he can, then he'll become a real problem. You can take the brand out of a team fight, stop him bouncing his ult onto the backline if you want. You can take the K'Sante out of the team fight too. It's a little bit harder to play, though, than something like that Rumble, which is much easier to impact those team fights. LGD, I think it's fair to say, quite a difficult team to pilot. The Nidley's hard to play. The Mordekaiser can be too. On the other side, you have on the Jin. Less about the upfront damage, but at least it gives you that extra follow-up pick tool, which can sometimes make things a little bit more smoother to play.
If they can win this one, IG will even this best of 5 if they can take it as well. Game 2 starting now, IG versus LGD. Yo, props for following up the LGD chance. That's got to be intimidating. That guy is that guy's giving it all.
Also, I just said, if this goes to 5 games, if we do have a longer day today, someone get some, like...
Get that man a tea.
Honey tea. Get that man a honey tea or something like that, because he's going to need it. Coming through now onto the Rift, and get a quick look at those runes coming down. I've actually found it really fun to see which champions use the Jack of all trades. I see it on the Corki. Which champions use that really well. There was a really funny Volibear build where you go towards Nash's Rod of Ages and a whole load of random stats, which get you just a ton of stats because they're a hybrid champion. Jack of all trades it's a funny old rune, so you can sometimes play a mini game to see which people can make the most of that. And JinJiao gets himself 600 games in the LPL, and I know that in the break you were saying that we should really start talking about some of these players and how long they've been in the LPL and on some of these teams. JinJiao, he is a lot more veteran than people would assume sometimes.
It's actually crazy. I mean, the guy's been playing professionally since like 2015 especially, but got the big break on Billy in 2017. It's really crazy to me, though, how he has been a big question mark for this LGD team. But we're starting to see some of these things start to maybe level up a little bit as we've gotten to the big important moments. But I also want to check in on the setup for both junglers. It's not the mirrored start this time around. It's not going to be Meteor looking down towards bot side because he knows where the carries can be, and it's both junglers going towards top.
I wonder if LGD might get some false information for this, because they didn't see glfs on the Raptors, and I don't think they spotted him walking away from that either. So they might think that glfs is going from top to bot, but they won't know up until they realize that he's not shown on those Raptors. But there's a chance that maybe a play happens towards top side. He did skip that one camp. He will be closer towards that top side a little earlier because of that. We'll see whether that impacts any skirmishes towards top side or maybe towards this top lane.
Yeah, I mean, hey, we saw what Burdol could do with a little bit of a lead last time around as well. See if that's going to pay off yet again. But some of that reactive play coming out from glfs could be big. And this is where some of that adaptation and focus for IG comes into question, because we said On needs to have a lot given his way. He's on the Jhin. You're not going to be that damage carry. So you're relying on this top side of the map a lot of the time, and glfs particularly.
That was almost a great shot.
It was.
Just a tiny little minion which came with it. Vampire now into the mid lane. Jungle and support both here. Could have a flash coming through.
Just by the fast bomb. Zenith Blade does connect because, you know, Rocket Jump travels along in a straight line, but nothing else going to come of it.
So Vampire gets himself out of lane early and has some potential play in that mid lane. He does show, though, which means that JinJiao will be off vision while the enemy support is kind of a known quantity. Brand not able to do anything with that early. Potential to get towards topside. Is he seen? I don't think so. Spear, not going to hit.
Just getting a little bit of target practice in. Got to throw them often and early. This is also going to be a double scuttle for LGD.
Yeah.
They're already showing off some of their map movements that made them so dominant in game number 1.
Could you imagine if, like, Nidalee players practice their spears by trying to bullseye Womprats with their T16? What is it in the New Hope? It's one of the Star Wars things.
I don't remember the specifics, I'm not gonna lie. But now my fandom has been called into question, and I don't know what to do anymore.
That's okay. That's what I'm here for. I'm actually not here to push you on your League of
Name 5 of their albums.
Like I'm here. I probably could for Red Hot Chili Peppers, which we were talking about. I saw them. They were one of my favorite things. But yeah, anyway, yeah, I'm just saying it. I don't know, just not actually talk about League of Legends and chance you on pop culture instead. To get back towards, I guess, League of Legends. I know it's a shame after that point. Haichao goes back towards that Cull. I've got loads of Culls kind of brought in across the place. I am a little bit worried for On's damage output coming into this game. Jhin is a very conditional carry. I don't think it's right to say Jhin doesn't do damage. Jhin just situationally does damage. He is situationally excellent at killing through squishies or people, even with like high HP, but as long as they have some lower armor, because he can sometimes struggle to get through the high HP and high armor. He's not someone that can ever build something like a blade. Attack speed doesn't allow him to get through multiple auto attacks to apply on hits over time or something like that. But if you give him someone who's under half HP in front of him, ooh, he loves that. So we'll see whether LGD can kind of stave off Jhin from cleaning up back end of team fights, because they do have a lot of squishies on their team, especially with the Nidalee. They can get caught out too. They're going back towards Haichao. He does have flash. Should be okay, but we'll see how well he plays it.
Just need a little bit of damage for the Deadly Flourish. Oh, not going to connect it either anyways. And a little bit of a move for IG towards mid. They're using some of their mobility, but now we also have to think about these objectives, because LGD, they came away with the Grubgaddon in game number 1. Maybe a little bit more difficult to do so this time around. But Dragon and Grubs are going to be up at the same time on the first spawn.
We don't have any teleports to help with that either, so it's all going to be about moving around the map by yourself. So, Shaoye does have that W. The strut helps. The strut really helps. Jin is not going to be here, and it does mean that LGD can get themselves towards the top side of the map earlier if they want to be. Shaoye just hanging out in River right now, not been seen, I don't think, and it means that he could potentially add into the play before Arn can.
Just laying out the blue carpet for Misfortune there, walking up the river. It is LGD starting it up already here with this top lane trio. And they're actually keeping JinJiao around mid lane to keep some pressure there as well. So it should just be the trade of objectives here, as we're going to see GLFS go and start the dragon as well.
So potentially a trade of objectives. LGD,
they do it fast
split
enough.
map states. They that's a good point, actually. Yeah, we'll see whether LGD can come down to contest. Neny's going to be here, has level 6, but just bursts out a little bit of JinJiao there.
Yeesh. That spear is going to make Neny's life a little worse. Oh, Meteor, this is rough. IG weren't able to do it fast enough. They just lost their fourth shot. Meteor is there. He steals it. IG logos come up from IG, but they're losing bodies now, too. As Haichao has already come away with the first blood for LGD. They came away with the dragon. They came away with the 3 grubs. And right now, it's just looking like LGD's day.
Also, that could have gone worse for IG. Shaoye stayed bot lane and got level 6. There was a chance that bullet time could come in very early there. And the more I'm feeling between both the first game and the first few minutes of the second game is that IG right now, their setup isn't good enough.
It's just an immobile Jin in a mobile world, as he does end up using his flash and cleanse to get out of that one.
Arn has really tried to get himself involved in plays early, get himself out of his lane and do whatever he can with his deadly flourish, but the setup for objectives just hasn't been good enough from IG. It comes down to a smite for smite fight. It goes over to the side of the, well, over to LGD. It does feel like IG, their setup for these objectives just hasn't been good enough.
Oh, he doesn't have anything this time, my boy! Oh no, the pressure point for IG has been exposed. As they do take him down, they need to be a little bit careful. JinJiao trying to get an angle to get out, and luckily Shaoye able to put down some poke on a GLFS, and LGD, they're now 2-0 up, and a 2,000 gold lead at 8 minutes in.
Shaoye has also got both of his summoners. He has himself a gold lead, and he's very happy with how this early game has gone. Reminder, we were saying that actually, even though this was the top seed versus the lower seed in this night's rival stage, I felt like this series could be close, because I thought that IG's bot lane would be a big power point for them, and I think that LGD's bot lane has definitely struggled. Credit to LGD's bot lane. They haven't been a game-losing factor. Game 1, I think that JinJiao had a very powerful game on the Rakan. Shaoye, yeah, the Ezreal was a bit more rough, but then you look towards the way that this game's played out. Shaoye and JinJiao, they've been playing this game really well so far, and suddenly Arn is on not just a Jin, but a Jin who's behind.
Yeah.
That is absolutely not where you want to be. Jin does kind of need to snowball. He does need to make sure he's ahead of the curve so that damage deficiency, which he can have, isn't put on display.
I'm the biggest Jin stan of them all, and I'll even admit this is a roughie for An, but he's going to need to rely on his team. And he's going to need to rely on maybe even the Rookie of the Week for the last week of the Rumble stage GLFS here. Try to get to that second item, but he's way far off of that one. And unfortunately for him, Meteor is getting super far ahead of him on the farm and already has the torch completed to light his way.
So, wait, hang on, that's a different build for the Nidalee. We've seen a lot of the Leandri. Well, we saw a lot of the Lich Bane,
now.
we saw a lot of the Leandries. This is the first time I've seen Blackfire on the Nidalee. I mean, I guess Nidalee can build whatever the heck she wants, and she's still a very similar champion, but I don't understand Nidalee builds anymore, man. I don't understand them. You're still against, like, the Leona and the Cassandra, which is completely fine to go towards that Leandries, and I guess it gives you the earlier cooldown reduction, but I didn't even think that Nidalee particularly cared about that one. You know what? I'm going to leave it to Meteor. He's been cooking for years
man.
At this point. We'll call it out, we'll raise an eyebrow, we'll move on with our lives.
It's been really cool to see Meteor come into his own after some troubling times. It feels like when he's not doing good, it feels like LGD aren't doing good. Yes, we talked about the top trio, but they have to have some strength through jungle, and they play a lot around that. As GLFS still caught wanting on the Rift as Meteor continues to get ahead of him in farm. We will have that next spawn of grubs coming up here. Could be that grub again for LGD.
She could be. Resets coming through from JinJiao, so he can get himself onto the map a little bit more powerfully and get himself a refresh of whatever he wants as well in terms of wards and his next item coming through. But yeah, LGD, they're getting themselves onto the map fairly effectively. Haichao has the teleport. He can go down towards bot side, wave clear through that. He can respond to a top side play when he wants. Vampire does have 6, and Haichao is not running a cleanse because he's got the mid lane teleport, of course, so there was a chance of something happening there, but when you've got a Cole stacking Jin, it's not necessarily screaming early damage to me, so they choose to call that one off.
It's going to be a long while there, my friend. Sit down and listen for a while, I guess, and GLFS is making a little bit of play on
City comfortably will begin. Have you got a story for us, Mazel?
Deckard Cain comes to mind. I don't know, something along those lines. There is a dragon coming up in about 35 seconds. LGD are going to pull Burdol down to try to get this 3 grub stack into 6 because they also have Meteor right around the corner. And unfortunately for IG, they don't really have bodies out on the map on this side of the map.
Saw the Leona skin and thought, that's Burdol close enough, yeah. But I have to say, Burdol, that is someone I aspire to be. Win worlds, design your world skin after a waifu in a game with you.
Why not?
You know what, that I can appreciate having so bold to do that. All the same. If we get ourselves into the map, and it is those 6 grubs over to LGD. And the big thing about LGD, which I think they showcased even in the Ascension group when they were struggling, they actually have very good mid games.
Yeah.
They have very good mid games, and they're very good at playing around split maps when they get advantages like this. And with the 6 grubs, it makes it so much easier for Haichao to get value, for Burdol potentially get value as well. I'm worried for IG. I think that IG, they haven't had the best setup. They need to force plays before this starts happening. You've got 6 grubs and your towers are getting hit. You're already behind in gold. You've already lost those early objectives. You don't have early dragon stacking. This is not how you can allow this game to go out. You're losing another dragon. IG, they do have good scaling. They do have good pick potential. But you can't just let the game fall away from you. This is just... We've talked about this before. This is Safari League of Legends. They're watching the wildlife. They're not doing anything about it. They're here as spectators. They're not actually interacting with the map. And I don't think they can do that with this comp.
They have to be proactive. They have to find some sort of life on the map, especially with the Jin in the composition. Now LGD just feels super confident to move into the enemy jungle, especially with how far of a lead Meteor has already. Still, not a first item completed for GLFS. He did stop off for the boost just to make sure. But IG struggling to keep promise in their own red side jungle right now. And you have to think there's also going to be more objectives to contest, more bleeding for IG to have.
While all this is happening as well, we kind of wait to see what kind of impact Burdol can have on the game. He's just a little bit ahead of YSKM right now. If it stays this way, I think IG are happy with that. I think Sensei can absolutely have a stronger teamfight impact than the Mordekaiser. It's much harder to have a teamfight impact on the Mordekaiser than the Sensei, which can shunt someone into a wall and just drag them off for the all-out through a wall as well. So I guess that's something for IG. They might just be biding their time for that first big fight of the game where hopefully you can have a bigger impact from the Sensei and maybe someone like that Jin, which can stand behind the bullet time and out of range of that champion. But I'm just getting increasingly worried for this team. I don't like seeing IG struggle to pull the trigger like this. They stuck around for that. They stuck around for that early dragon, and they got punished for that one. And they've given over the 6 grubs. This is not really what I want to see from them. Maybe this is just a bit of a follow-on effect. I don't think they can really catch JinJiao, can they? No, I don't think they can.
A little bit of a class from Neny, but yeah, Haichao's right there to answer. And unfortunately, he has an item advantage, which I guess you can say a lot of for LGD. As they are putting a lot of presence up here. You got to remember, if we were looking at the map, IG were the ones that were redeploying up here, bringing everybody this way to try to contest this one. They can't even step foot over there, even though they have the scuttle crab vision.
So, IG, can you force way into the river again, or are you just going to be doing a bit more of a safari? They want to get involved this time.
Let's go. That is a bold TP, and YSKM's in there like swimwear. Big bullet time. Going to be stopped. Shaoye flashing over there, though. You got to look at the fight, though. IG getting split. Burdol has caught off the rest of them, and now LGD reforming around YSKM like an amoeba, and he will become one with LGD as they take the Rift Herald on top of it all, just like a cherry on top of a cake.
Yeah, IG thought they were being flanked, but they were the ones being enveloped. Arn can't influence the fight. Vampire's here, but I think he might just get caught.
He's just a Jin, man! Come on! He tries to cleanse out of the slow. There's nothing to be said there. And LGD, they are looking down the barrel of a perfect game right now onto IG.
Yeah, I thought it was, 3 strikes and you're out. I think it's 4 shots and you're out for this one, though, and courtesy of Arn. Arn just can't get involved in the play. Shaoye, bold, my friend. Bold positioning like that, but he gets value out of this. I think actually Shaoye's positioning kind of baits IG into a bit of a weird engage. Burdol gets the kill onto GLFS, and we did say, hey, what value is this Mordekaiser going to get? Apparently, quite a lot if you stop the Brand getting the big value through that fight. And once again, LGD, better setup for the objective, play out the fight better as well. IG, they are behind in so many fronts in these first 2 games. Luckily, it's a best of 5. They might get another chance after this, but you do not want to be immediately, as the lowest seed in this stage, down against it at the earliest possible opportunity. And that's such a shame because we've known this team can be very creative team fighters. I think particularly Arn is a player which I've sung the praises over and over. They're going to teleport onto the sideline now to see if they can get something back.
All right, Burdol, he does not have the ulti available. This is just going to be a classical 1v3 in the alcove, and he'll slowly but surely go down, giving the kill over to Neny. That's big. On the other side of the map, though, LGD are responding, trying to get a push into the tier 2 with Haichao.
You know, old Mordekaiser with his ult and the mini dragon, he would have won that. Sadly, new Mordekaiser, he's not used to such things. He used to be able to 3v3, not quite so much now. Burdol does go down. He had great impact in that last fight, but just overstays on that side lane. It's something that you actually highlighted before the series, that yes, LGD, their top side, very, very good, and they can win a lot of games. Sometimes they do get a little bit lost on the map, occasionally too, despite the fact that they have good upper ceiling on how they play the sidelines. They're not without their flaws either. And Burdol just there showing that, you know, we like their sideline play. It's not perfect though.
It happens. There was a reason why they were at the bottom of the barrel for Group Ascend, but we're seeing that at this point that didn't matter because Group Ascend just seemingly has that strategy. At least LGD are showing us that so far. And I think that's been a nice surprise where IG were the ones coming into this series with a hot hand themselves, finishing off their Rumble stage very strongly. But LGD have quelled that very heftily, and we are already on second items for Haichao and for Shaoye.
So, LGD, they do return to the scene of this crime. They'll get themselves that turret as well. Make sure some minions are denied there as well. YSKM walks up, tries to do something about it, and does nothing. Actually, the Herald is summoned bot side as well. Neny doesn't have teleport. You can't make it down here. GLFS, Vampire, they're on top side as well. I think LGD, again, showcasing that they're just a step ahead in terms of how they want to play out the map. This Herald will probably lead to a full tower on this bot side, especially with Haichao being so powerful. That's even more gold. And the mid lane as well. IOG trade a top lane outer turret for 2 inner turrets in the other lanes. This is just LGD.
He didn't even get it.
Better macro team.
He didn't even get it. He has to wait for another wave and try to force it over on Burdol, but Burdol might have enough strength to just kill him. We'll have to see. This whole play was LGD using all of the map strength while they knew that the entire time they just can pull back to the dragon and get a soul point. What a map decisive move from LGD.
This is wonderfully played from LGD. I will say on the other side again though, this is a bit more of a product of them losing the game and losing so many lanes, but IG across both games we've seen so far, they've just been behind on the map. They've been playing for these snappy engages, for these pick combos with either a Blitzcrank or a Jhin, and it hasn't gotten them the value. It hasn't blown up the game, which maybe it would have done versus some of the teams in the Nirvana group. Maybe you would have been able to scrap your way through because they're also willing to forget about the wider map for these big skirmishes. LGD haven't cared. They haven't given a damn. They've just gone and taken towers. They've taken dragons, and suddenly I think this game is even more dominant than that first one. Even though the first game was also very dominant. LGD, they've not even looked back in this game.
And the biggest question for LGD this entire split has been, can this top tree on the top side outweigh or outdo some of the weaknesses we've seen them have in the 2v2 on bot side? Haichao walking straight up to a trap. Doesn't smell anything there. The dragon will not be pounced on, though, by IG. Feeling a little bit sketched by not knowing where a lot of others are from LGD. But it's the fact that Shaoye has actually been super stable so far in a lot of ways that has enabled the rest of LGD.
That's really true. We highlighted LGD's bot lane as a point of weakness. Hasn't been in this game. I think in the first game you could say... You could probably... You could say, okay, that early 2v2 wasn't great, and there were some moments where Shaoye was not giving the best arcade shifts ever, but hey, whatever. You can take 1 or 2 of them when you've managed to escape this early game. And in this game, he really has escaped the early game properly this time. Now he's getting himself up towards 3 items. There is still time for a healthy int yet. I will not relieve... I will not, you know...
It is a 7,000 gold lead, but yeah, you know, they're still there.
I think at this point, IG are going to really struggle to find their place. So this is the kind of point where you have to ask, what does a one-team fight for IG look like? Well, it probably has to be Brand huge damage. It probably has to be all of those passes bouncing across the entire team. And if it's not that, it has to be YSKM separating someone off from the team so they can get burned down as well. While all that happens, you also need to not get caught as well. But they're not even getting towards those fights. That's another tower gone for LGD. IG, I think that they're in such a bad spot now that they can't even look for fights.
They don't have wave clear.
They just sat here.
It's so difficult. I mean, you're against all the mites. First of all, you have Jin. You only have 4 shots in the grenade. I mean, it's very difficult to wave play if you don't have Neny. Neny will be on second item. We're going to get some of those spikes here for IG, but is it going to be too little too late?
I think so at this point, because the problem now is you have Burdol. He's also quite far ahead of the game as well, even though he's not completely out of proportion, but he can take some off the board. Look at the XP advantage in jungle. GLFS, can you get a good ult?
He's a little scared. Does bounce away, though. The passive starting to rain hell here. First shot's going to miss. Second shot's going to miss. He had to hit one of them. On going to not hit any of his shots, and that will be LGD making out by the skin of their teeth down bot. There is the TP on top side. IG, they stay up and they stay fighting. Here comes the counter TP from LGD, all out there. Deadly Flourish. They're connecting the CC really nicely onto JinJiao, and he will go down. Burdol is a big machine, though, and he's smacking that mace down. Shaoye finds his own and gets a solo bolo in the middle of the team fight against On. What a statement of a game and of this series for LGD.
This hasn't been close. IG have been behind on the map, and at this point where they try and make this big map play, they are just too far behind. LGD, they come in as our top seed into the Night's rival stage, the top team from the 2 teams of Ascension, which have made a way down to face off against the Nirvana groups, and it hasn't particularly been close so far. We thought there'd be a weakness in the bot side. I don't think that's been the case. And IG have not really been able to find those scrappy fights they've thrived on. Burdol has overstepped, though. He's probably going to
We've seen this already, and we talked about it a little bit. Burdol stays his welcome a little bit too long. We'll look for the outplay, but has no Realm of Death here. Just try to get some damage down. But nice little pick off by IG to get GLFS a little bit of gold. Baron started up on the other side, though. LGD not caught wanting themselves.
No, LGD, they're just faster again. Yes, you stay for Burdol, but you give up Baron at this point. So Burdol, this time it is a valuable overstay question mark, because they respond so many members down towards that bot side that there is no defense against that Baron, which goes over absolutely for free. This is how the last play started, as Vampire goes up for a ward, he has to flash away. This is, yeah, I'm not going to blame him too much for this. You're behind the game, it's hard to set things up, but he ends up losing a lot of his HP. Yeah, the teleport does come in after that point, but Vampire doesn't have the health to, or the flash to engage now. He can't flash forward for his Zenith Blade, and maybe if you did, you could go on to Haichao. Not to be the case here, though, and yes, Arn, he's the one going forward and getting some damage down, but it's not enough at this point. This Jin can't carry the team fights in the way that he wants to. Shaoye, I really like this ultimate too. He ends up effectively flash predicting on. There's no way he could get out of that. Gets himself a really good bullet time, and the rest of LGD just run over this fight. Even though they lose their support, doesn't matter.
And if you're wondering why all the introspective looks into IG, why all this, they're on the edge of a cliff with this series. We could not see them. Oh, it's GLFS gonna steal it, give a little bit of hope back. He goes down immediately, and so too do 2 other members of IG. The hope that was ripped straight out from their hands, and now LGD with the Baron buff of plenty, 2 minutes strong, looking to crash into the Nexus turrets.
Yeah, GLFS might have the Midas touch, and the Dragon turns to gold. Sadly, so does his own base. LGD running it back. 6 scrubs looking to close out the game.
LGD, we've talked about the curse. We talked about them not making playoffs since 2020 summer, but now they find themselves 1 game away from that very thought of breaking the curse and dooming IG to 2025. LGD take a match point lead in this best of 5.
The Ascension group had a lot of good teams in it, Mazel, and
all the best, you would say, maybe.
Saying this statement that LGD only had 1 series win in the Ascension stage, it means a fair amount, because yes, it means they're not a top team, but they were still there. They probably should have taken a series over the FPX as well, but they find themselves now as the top team, I suppose, in this stage of the LPL. And IG, I thought they had options here, but it just hasn't looked like it. They're so far behind on a lot of the fundamentals that LGD are just massacring the map.
They had 4 game wins totality in Rumble stage. They could look at 3 here, almost matching that. It's crazy to think about how deep we are in the season. That is it for Game 2. IG, something's got to give. We got to see what Game 3 has in store. We'll see you on the other